I wanted to start out by asking, like, what, because I've never actually asked you this, because we've known each other for how long? Like 3 years now?
It's been a while.
It's been a while. And I've never actually asked you, like, where did it all begin?
You know, I don't even know, honestly, thinking back on it. It started somewhere.
Were you in high school when it started, or?
You know, thinking back, I don't identify with having like an interest in cars from high school. I honestly don't think it was until I met Damon. You know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, honestly.
And you met Damon after high school, I'm guessing?
Well, I knew him in high school. We were just kind of like acquaintances in high school.
But you guys became friends.
We started airsofting together after high school, and we kind of grew closer. And it got to the point of where like he'd come over and hang out once in a while, and I always knew, like, part of me misplaced in the back of my brain always knew that he was really into cars.
Yeah.
But at the time, it's like I wasn't really into cars so much. But at the time, like, I had my first car, 85 Chrysler Fifth Avenue, or New Yorker for and that thing was a fucking god, dude. That thing.
I'm sure you'd be able to give me a picture of it so that way I can put it up.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah,
for sure.
Dude.
But owned that for a while, and that thing was a pain in my ass. And I always wanted a Crown Victoria. And I don't, like, looking back on it, all the reasons that I wanted a Crown Victoria back then are none of the fucking reasons why I adore the Crown Victoria or the Panther, or however you want to put it. Now, I wanted one because it was an old cop car. I could drive around. I could fuck with people. I could scare people. I could get people to drive slow. I could fucking be that dude.
Yeah, you could be that douche that you can, like, follow people behind really
and they
closely.
were cheap. And I bought one. I got one for $1,800 from a friend who I still know, Carl.
Oh, Carl.
Carl, yeah. And
shut the fuck up, Carl.
Well, shut the fuck up, Carl. Exactly. Yeah. But then I started appreciating the platform for more than just, like, those obvious pointers that I voiced. It's really reliable. It's really durable. It's inexpensive to work on. It's easy to, like, if you have to repair something, the parts are not cheap, or excuse me, they are cheap. Sorry, they're widely available since for police usage and taxi usage.
They're definitely not scarce. That's for sure.
No, so it ended up being all of these categories that I never really thought about beforehand that proved themselves later on. And I was like, wow, you know, this engine is pretty much the exact same thing as a Mustang GT from 99 to 04. I mean, the computer is a little different, so the tuning is a little different.
Yeah.
Air intake is reversed. That's about it. It's body-on-frame construction.
So it's solid.
Yeah, it's a four-door. It's a sedan. You can pretty much just fucking put the thing through hell and back, and it's still gonna start up every single time and fucking run great.
And there's that fact that they go 0 to 60 in reverse.
They do. They have a top speed of 63 miles an hour in reverse, which
that's still like, I remember when you told me that when we first, like, got to know each other, and I didn't know. I was still
I can personally attest that I've tried. Very sketchy, but I've done it.
Damn, dude. And, like, did you wobble a lot when you first tried it?
I don't know. I was too busy, like, trying to make sure I didn't crash.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine doing 63 like this.
Oh my god.
So, but I had that one for, I don't know, about a year. I got rid of it, got another one, messed with that one for a while. I had a town car for a while that I know you remember.
The Lincoln Town Car.
Lincoln Town Car. Which I have a Lincoln LS now, so.
That thing's,
stayed with
the bitch?
Stayed with the nameplate, but the Crown Vic that I have now is the 4th Crown Victoria that I've owned, and the 5th Panther that I've owned, because the town car was a Panther.
Yeah.
I had the 2000, which was the first Crown Vic. I had 2 2003s, and then I have this one now, which
and this one's a 2004, right?
2004, yeah. So.
And obviously, by far, the best one that you've had, in terms of, I'm guessing, was this one of the, in terms of, like, when you first bought it, was it one of the best looking ones, like, overall, like, in terms of interior? And
it was the best optioned, the best condition, the lowest mileage,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously the newest. And I know 2004 isn't like super new, but
And when did you buy it? You bought it in
2011,
Okay, yeah. And
May 2011,
2001.
and bought it with like 31,000 miles on it.
Jeez, that's what I bought my Focus with the year that the Focus came out. That's pretty insane. I mean, it was by then it was 7 years old, so that's a pretty low mileage, and especially a Crown Victoria too, because those things usually when because yours is a P71 model, right?
Yeah.
And so usually with those, you would expect them to be a bit higher mileage, don't you think?
Usually, yes. A lot of agencies either retire theirs at 60,000 or 100,000 miles. I really lucked out on mine. It was owned by the FBI,
Mm-hmm.
and they retire their cars extremely low. They actually go by, they retire their cars based on how old they are by year.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 7 or 8 years, and then they finally retire their vehicles regardless of the mileage. And all of their vehicles are one agent vehicles, meaning there's only one person that's been assigned that entire car.
Damn.
For
So that, I mean, and that's cool because like you know it's only been one previous owner.
Yeah, and believe it or not, it's like they fully option those cars when they order them from Ford,
Mm-hmm.
which they fully option them with the exception of one option. And I've actually looked into this and I've done research and can attest that this is true. The only option that they don't put in those cars that's available is power seats, because there's only one person driving that car and there's no reason they should have to adjust the seat.
Need to, yeah, that actually does make a lot of sense too.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool the way that they envision how the car is going to be used.
Mm-hmm.
And
And I mean, you have a sunroof, right? I don't remember. No, you don't have a
I
sunroof.
wish.
You told me that you were thinking about cutting
Well,
the sunroof.
I wouldn't do it. I'd get a shop to do it.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's like, I still would love to get one installed,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just, I don't know if I'm going to do it now with the direction the car's gone. My Lincoln has a sunroof, so.
Now that we're touching on that subject, why did you go a supercharged direction? Like, what made you think I want to supercharge a Crown Victoria?
Well, it started out kind of as a joke between Damon and I.
God, everything starts out as a joke.
It was just,
I
it
swear.
was one of those stupid fucking things that we just talked about. That was like, you know how it is. Like, this is something that would be super fucking cool to do, but it's never gonna fucking happen.
Yeah.
And
Then you start playing with it in your
but
head.
then it's like, I don't know. I don't even freaking remember how it like actually came to pass. But it got to the point of where in my life I was in a position to where this actually could really happen, and I liked the Crown Victoria that I owned enough to be able to condone doing the project on that.
And especially the color too.
It is. It's the rarest color. It's my favorite color, dark pearl blue metallic. And 2004 is kind of like the most highly coveted year of the Crown Victoria for specific reasons that I won't get into because it's just way too much fucking technical information.
Yeah.
But 04 is basically the year to have on a Crown Victoria.
What was the last year of the Victoria? That was
2011.
2011.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's when they discontinued it. But it started out as a joke between him and I, like, dude, this would be fucking badass. You should do this to Blue, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just got to the point where I was like, why not? Like, it would be cool. It'd be badass. It'd be different. And I started looking at paths of, like, you know, efficiency versus effectiveness. What would be the best route? What would be the most inexpensive route? What would be the most unique route?
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to kind of mix all of those together.
And you definitely did.
And the byproduct that we got from that is a dual overhead cam motor, which the Crown Victoria comes with a single overhead cam motor. The only Panther that came with a dual cam was the Mercury Marauder.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a dual overhead cam motor. Basically, it has Mustang, Cobra, Terminator heads and cams. It's got the stock iron short block with internals, and we utilized a GT500 supercharger, 5.4 liter Eaton M122, with a special adapter plate from Cobra Engineering. And a lot of the reason we did that was for two reasons. A, because it's super fucking unique. No one's ever done that on a Crown Victoria. People have done it in the Cobra Crown.
Yeah.
No one's ever done it on a Crown Victoria. People have put M112s on
Yeah.
a Crown Victoria.
But not with a
Or a
122.
Mercury Marauder, that's very commonplace. Never on a Victoria. The cost difference to purchase the plate and all of the adaptive hardware was condonable to me because of how unique it would be.
Mhm.
The M122 pushes more air, it's more efficient, more powerful. And it mainly just boiled down after all of those reasons. The main thing was no one had ever done it, and I knew that I could do it.
Yeah.
And I knew that would work.
Yeah, that makes sense too.
I knew the motor would physically fit. I knew the supercharger would physically fit. We had to slightly modify the wiper cowl, if that even.
It doesn't really.
Yeah, but it bolted on and it started up great. It ran great. We've had issues with tuning ever since the car has been running, but overall we've never had any major mechanical issues until the recent issues that we've had with the vehicle. So.
And the mechanical issues, you're finally starting to get them fixed. Now, what caused those issues?
Well, originally, oh gosh, it was September 2015, a little over a year ago. The shaft inside of the supercharger snout broke because the supercharger is overdriven, which is an aftermarket alteration that I did not do. It was like that when I purchased it, and took me 6 months after the car was originally finished, which was in March. 6-7 months, however long. March of 2015 was when the car was finished, going through its transition, being built to the new motor.
Yeah.
And give or take 6 months after that, the snout inside the supercharger snapped. And
those snouts, they're pretty. I mean, they're built pretty freaking solid.
Oh, they're definitely stout. They can handle a good amount of boost. It's not uncommon in the Marauder crowd to be able to, hit 17, 18 psi with a very small pulley and an overdrive on the lower. The reason that we're thinking that we snapped mine not once, but it happened again in February of 2016, and that's why the car's still down, is because, like I said, the supercharger is overdriven, and that spins the rotors about 20% quicker. And the snout of the supercharger has an extension on the end of the hub to bring the pulley out to the right lateral alignment to connect with the belt.
Yeah.
And that's just what you have to do with the M122. Well, the problem with that is that it pulls your bearing support farther back. So if you can imagine the pulley being right here, and there's bearing support all the way up to the front, that bearing support is now here, and there's about 2 inches of space when, if you're at 5,500, 6,000 RPM, that belt is going to expand just a couple millimeters, and the tensioner will pick up that slack. However, that downward force that's pulling down on that shaft is billet aluminum from the factory. It wasn't enough. After enough time, it just snapped, and it happened twice.
Jeez. That's a shame too, because how long has the car been down for now? It's been about a year almost.
It broke in the latter half of February of this year.
So yeah, we're getting
10 months.
10 months.
Yeah.
9-10 months. Yeah.
And the main reason it's been down for so long is that I wasn't able to get parts, and I finally got the parts.
And now you just don't have the time.
Yeah, it's a time issue. Yeah. The supercharger's polished, and I have to get the new parts polished to match. And the car is function and form, so the presentation matters just as much as the mechanical workings.
Which I'm sure, especially with a build as amazing as that, you would want the presentation to be amazing, I'm
Absolutely,
sure.
Yeah.
And which I'm going to show a video right now. How much power did you make when you, because I know, because I was there, we dynoed the car, and we did it when we went to LA for Fabulous Sports Forever. How much power did you end up making?
Well, we were slightly limited in the power that we could create, if you will, for the setup that we did. Mainly, not necessarily so much of the, it was mainly the short block and the transmission. We were able to hit 417 horsepower at the wheels and 437 foot-pounds, utilizing 9 psi out of the supercharger. And a lot of people, and that was kind of with the timing was at 17 degrees, so a lot of people would suggest like, oh, you can hit a lot higher psi than that, or not psi, excuse me, you can hit a lot higher horsepower for that. Well, bear in mind, the supercharger being overdriven, we were using a stock upper pulley and a underdrive on the lower. So 9 psi was the absolute floor that we could hit on psi on that motor. And based on what my tuner told me, what he attested to was that probably about 30% of that boost pressure was just going out of the dump valve because it could not be used. It was moving so much air. I mean, I know you've heard this, but if obviously if you've never heard the car, you would know this, but you would, if you listen to the way the car sounds at idle, or if you rev it, there's always
you
a
can
rush
always
of air.
hear that.
That is the extra air going out of the dump valve, basically back into the intake system before the throttle body that the engine just can't use because it's moving too much air.
And that also goes in hand with the snake bite kit too, right?
Because the snake bite is the overdrive.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
So the rotors spinning as fast as they were is what allocated that much more air. But with the tune and the limitations that we had originally on the lower rotating assembly as well as the transmission, we couldn't push that much power because it wasn't really safe. Since then, we bought forged rods, we bought forged aluminum pistons, we bought a stroker crankshaft. None of that's been installed yet because it's just waiting for it to happen.
Yeah.
The transmission will be addressed soon, hopefully.
Because the transmission tune was kind of off. I remember that.
Yeah, we've always had issues with the dyno tune.
And so, and the power, what horsepower, torque, what are we looking at?
Like ultimately?
You're the day of the dyno. What was it?
417, 437.
Okay.
Was the numbers that we were hitting. The snake bite will be removed. The overdrive on the supercharger will be removed because that's what's causing the shaft to break.
Definitely don't want that anymore.
That won't necessarily harm the power that we're hitting now. It might slightly alter the high number that we could hit on a horsepower number, but we can still probably get 575 to the wheels out of that setup.
Well, sounds like a good plan too. And so that's I want to continue this series asking this question towards the end of the video. Future plans for the car.
I'm toying with doing a manual swap. I know you've known that for a while. I don't know if that's something that if it's going to happen or not. Obviously, I'm going to get the forged rotating assembly in with a Boss block. That'll increase the displacement of 5.3 liters, so that should help with torque tremendously.
Yeah.
Horsepower a little bit, mainly torque. Besides that, the direction the car has gone, that's really the mechanical plans, but anything past that, there's nothing really else that needs to be done for the car.
Maybe a repaint?
I mean, maybe way down the road. That's one of those things where it's like that color, the color on the car, it's a metallic paint, so it kind of shifts to like a violet to a blue. If you want to do it right, you're going to be spending probably $3,000 minimum. So,
but it'd be worth it though to finally get another, because I know the paint does have its issues.
Yeah, it's got some problems on the roof and on the trunk lid. The front of the car, like the hood, used to have issues, but ever since we got the cowl induction hood,
doesn't have those issues anymore.
The hood was professionally painted to match, which cost $900 just to paint the hood. So that gives you an idea of how much the paint actually
that
costs.
hood really gives it such an aggressive look. Like, I mean,
and it's functional. That's
and
what's
it's
great.
functional
what's
too.
great
Yeah.
about it is because the supercharger sits in such a position that the stock hood would be way, way, way too close.
And I remember when you first got the hood, I asked you, and you gave me the answer, and it was a pretty solid answer. I asked you, why didn't you just go carbon fiber? Because I know it's made of fiberglass, and you said that it doesn't, like, with carbon fiber, it wouldn't be that much of a weight savings, right?
Well, I didn't really. The hood that I have now was not offered in metal, or aluminum, or however.
Yeah.
But it was offered. The fiberglass option, obviously. The car is not being built to save weight. It's a heavy car.
It's a land boat.
We didn't lighten it. We definitely added to it. With me in it, we're probably looking at close to like 4,900 pounds.
Jeez.
We probably added about 200 to 280 pounds with the motor swap. Dual overhead cam heads versus single overhead cam heads. Stuff that...
And the supercharger.
The supercharger, I mean, the intake on that car didn't weigh a lot because it was mainly plastic, and the little round throttle body with the intake. The supercharger...
The duct itself is carbon fiber too, so...
Yeah, the intake system's carbon fiber and aluminum, which doesn't weigh a whole lot, maybe 10 pounds tops.
Yeah.
But supercharger itself weighs almost 80 pounds. We've done a lot of modifications to the fuel system, which has probably added another 30 pounds of weight, give or take. We dropped some weight savings by utilizing Corvo racing seats, lightweight racing seats. Besides that, I mean, it's got forged GT500 wheels on it, which add weight. They're probably easily 15 to 20 pounds heavier than the standard steel wheels. So, but that's okay. Like, to me, those wheels are the strength and rigidity that those wheels have.
I've seen them put to the test too, because you had that incident where
I hit the curb.
Yes.
Yeah, that was an interesting day. Took a turn a little too fast and lost control and tried to overcorrect and hit the curb. Hit the right-hand side of the curb at full rack, turning right.
Jeez.
Probably at like 15 miles an hour, like traveling speed.
I mean, to some people it's not that fast, but when you're hitting a curb,
oh god, when you're hitting, yeah, and that was right up against it.
The tire, I remember looking at the pictures. The tire did save a bit of the rim. It definitely did.
Well, the rim didn't bend at all, and I think the main reason the rim didn't bend is because the damage contact area was right at the spoke, but there was no cracking of the material on the rim. There was only the spot where the metal was marred and bent, which it didn't even harm. I mean, I still have the same tire mounted on that. I've since then replaced the rim with the replacement, and that rim is now my spare tire,
which is awesome.
Which I have a matching spare, which is cool. Yeah, but God, that was back in 2014 that happened.
Yeah, and it was around when I first started talking to you.
So that is the main reason why forged wheels rule. Honestly, I have a spare set of forged 19-inch Brembo that will be used for autocross. The tires that are mounted on it right now aren't necessarily are geared towards that,
but I'm sure you'll get some tires that are
probably mount Toyos. I want to get R888s on them.
Yeah, but very sticky tires, very nice, good compound.
But you, especially from an auto enthusiast, it's good to have one set of rims that's geared towards autocross road racing, and then I have the GT500 wheels, which are geared towards straight line drag racing. Mickey Thompson's on the rear, just have Pirelli on the front. I've toyed with the idea of getting the fronts narrowed to use a smaller tire.
That'd be a good idea too.
It has big brakes on the front, so I'm slightly limited in my options as far as getting like a full drag setup. If I were to get a drag setup, I'd have to get 16-inch rims on the rear opposed to 15-inch because of the way that the shock setup is. It wouldn't allow a 15-inch rim to seat all the way onto the hub, so I'm kind of limited.
Yeah, that makes sense. So. And I think I want to close off by asking, what's driven you to, not just build this car, but like what has driven you to be a car guy?
It's just passion. It's the passion and the love for the love for the game, honestly. It's not about it's not about the yield, if you will, on what your car gets to. It's just about, it's the passion and it's the road to get there. And it's the love that it brings you and the warmness in your heart, the people you meet, the events you go to. And the friendships you make. I mean, you forged some friendships out of cold steel in this
this right here. I mean,
yeah, dude, for sure. Honestly,
it's been awesome, And I think I want to let the people know that I met Dallas because he heard me talking about some rims that I was getting for my car, and we were working together, and we worked at an office job, and I started talking about some Stylus wheels that I had on the car, and he was curious, and then that's kind of how it all started.
I couldn't keep my mouth shut.
Of course you couldn't keep your mouth shut.
I was literally like, not even joking. I heard this dude talking about these wheels he wanted, and I'm sitting there, and I'm a pretentious asshole half the time.
He is.
And I'm thinking, like, this fucking dude wants to buy these dumbass fucking rims. And, like, I was so negative. And I'm like, I can't keep my mouth shut. I was like, hey, man, what rims do you want to buy?
And then I show him the rims, and he's actually genuinely surprised that they're not, like, deep dish.
Pep Boys wheels.
Yeah, exactly.
Then the rest is history.
The rest is history.
So.
And, and so thank you so much for being on the show and being on the part of this series. You're obviously going to be my first video, and Really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, absolutely, dude.
This concludes the interview, and if you guys want to keep watching and keep getting more videos, definitely hit that subscribe button and hit that like button as well, and we'll catch you guys later.